Hey guys, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and I'm here with my co-anchor, sister, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
A rare Thursday morning pop-up show for us.
Right.
There has just been a press conference regarding the Gabby Petito case by the North Point Police as well as the FBI, and we failed to stream it and realized that we should have. This is important information, and it's, I know a case that you guys are all holding near and dear right now. So we're going to stream it for you here in just a minute. Just a warning, their audio is a little bit quiet. So if you are struggling to hear them, just turn your sound way up. That worked for us, but you may have to turn your sound up to be able to hear what they have to say. So I think without further ado, let's go ahead and listen to the press conference.
Not getting any sound. Are you getting any sound?
No. Oh, your sound is off in the corner. Look.
It is?
Yep.
Hang on, guys. Sorry. This one's always right there.
Thank you all for being here. My name is Todd Garrison.
Can you hear it now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me just roll that back just a little because we just missed the first guy. Sorry, guys. Sometimes this is a little dicey.
Everybody for being here. It is afternoon now. Please turn your cell phones off. So here's what we're going to do here today. We're going to have a statement by Chief Todd Garrison of the Northport Police Department, followed by Gabby's father, Joe Petito. After Joe speaks, he's not going to take any questions. Chief Garrison will take a few questions, and we'll do the best we can. So, Chief Todd Garrison, thank you. Thank you all for being here. My name is Todd Garrison. I am the Chief of Police of the City of Northport. Today we're here to talk about Gabby. Gabby was a resident of, or is a resident of Northport. And Northport is a close-knit community where what happens is felt by all. We are here today to provide an update to Gabby Petito, who was reported missing on September 11th, 2001. In June of 2021, Gabby and her fiance embarked on a cross-country trip with plans to travel across the West Coast and visit state national parks in the western United States. They were traveling in Gabby's 2012 white Ford van and documented their journey on YouTube and social media. We have a picture of the white Ford van that they were traveling in. She maintained regular contact with her family members during her travels. However, that communication abruptly stopped around the end of August. Gabby is a vibrant 22-year-old with a love for life and adventure. She's a daughter, a sister, and a granddaughter. She was excited to share her cross-country trek with others on social media and with her family. Gabby's family and those in the community here and in New York who know and care for her are hoping for answers about her whereabouts. We have investigators working diligently around the clock, as well as with the FBI. The FBI is present here today to show their solidarity and commitment to this investigation. I'm giving you audio for all their resources. Due to the geographic scope of the investigation, it's important that we partner with our federal and local partners. At this time, I'm going to allow Joe, Gabby's dad, to come up and say a few words.
All right, what I need from everybody here is help, because the goal is still not met, and that goal is to bring Gabby home safe. All right, and I'm asking for help from everyone here. I'm asking for help everyone at home. I'm asking for help from the parents of Brian, and I'm asking for help of the family members and friends of the Laundrie family as well. know, there is a tip line that you can call anonymously. Whatever you can do to make sure my daughter comes home, I'm asking for that help. There's nothing else that matters to me now. This girl right here, that is it. Anything else, it comes second to this. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Our focus is to finding Gabby. And we are pleading with people out there to give us information, point us in the direction that we need to be, and help us find Gabby. Gabby and her family deserve that. Right now, I'll go ahead and answer a few questions that I can. Go ahead.
Yesterday, you reached out on Twitter to one attorney. Have you heard this yet?
I have not.
Is there a criminality suspected in the case, or is this just a missing?
Right now, we are investigating a missing person case.
No criminality suspected.
None at this time. Right now, it's a missing person case.
Chief, how frustrating is it knowing that the family lives just a short distance away from the police department here? I'm sure your officers have to drive by his house and to know that he hasn't given you any clue.
Well, we share the frustration with the world right now. So, you know, 2 people went on a trip, 1 person returned, and that person that returned isn't providing us any information.
Chief, can you bring Brian Laundrie in for hindering the investigation or for stealing Gabby's car?
Right now, no.
Have you guys learned anything from the van or from the phones at all?
Right now, we're still analyzing all that data, which takes time to forensically analyze all that.
Is the body cam video out of Moab? Is that offering any sort of insight into maybe what potentially happened? Are you using that as part of your investigation?
We look at everything that's coming in. As far as that having to do anything with the disappearance, we don't know. I mean, yes, they had a disturbance. Yes, it was captured on body camera, their interaction with law enforcement. But beyond that, you know, I don't know what it has to do with the disappearance.
Do you guys know when exactly Brian left and headed for Florida? We know he came here on the 1st, but do you know when he left from the West Coast, and if there's any indication that Gabby was with him on that trek back?
Right now, we're analyzing that data, so we don't have that timeline narrowed down. There's a lot of information that we have to go through.
Do you know where Brian Laundrie is right now?
Yes.
Chief, has the family attorney said anything else during your search?
The family attorney arranged to get us some property that we were looking for, and beyond that, no.
Nicole Schmidt said that she last spoke with her daughter on August 30th, or at least someone purporting to be her daughter. Has any forensics been done on her phone? Have the phone records been requested? Have they been provided?
Everything is being forensically analyzed right now, and it takes time.
Including Nicole's phone?
No, we don't have Nicole's phone.
And have you requested it
Requested from who?
from her?
Oh, I'm sorry, from Nicole's phone. I'm sorry. I don't have the answer to that as far as that.
At this point in the investigation, is Wyoming still the last place that she was known to be?
Right now, it seems to be the area that we're looking at.
What would it take in your investigation to find Mark?
Right now, this is a missing person case, all right? And our focus is to find Gabby. My focus isn't to bring Brian in right now, it's to find Gabby. Brian is exercising his constitutional rights, and I have to respect that. But as of right now, the focus is finding Gabby.
She's been missing for 2 weeks and could possibly be in danger. Why does he get the privilege to tell you no, that he's not coming in to speak to you?
Because the Constitution protects that.
Where are search teams looking currently? And are they law enforcement-led search teams?
We have no physical search teams on the ground like doing grid search right now. We have resources and law enforcement partners that are out in the field following up tips and leads. But as far as a grid search right now, we're still trying to narrow down geographic areas.
And do we know the exact date and exact, like, confirmed location that she was?
We're still
Because there's
analyzing
been,
that.
like, some say Salt Lake City, some say the national park.
You know,
Any-
the information, there's a lot of information coming through. We have to analyze that information, we have to vet that information, and it takes time.
Chief, is there any history of police interacting with Brian here in Northport, or any incident involving Brian and Gabby here in Northport before they went on this trip? And they've been here a couple of years now.
No,
Was she on any kind of medication?
not that I know of.
And was Northport police aware of her mental health issues before the Moab report came out?
I'm not aware of any of them.
Are you able to tell us what you found in the van? I know yesterday you said you were not
No, right now, the data, the stuff that we found in the van is being analyzed. I don't know if it has any evidentiary value to it or not. Obviously, this was a van used by the both of them, which personal belongings and stuff are in there. Whether or not it has anything to do with the case, we don't know.
I know you tweeted at the attorney. How frustrating is this for you personally?
I want to bring Gabby home, you know, so of course it's frustrating.
And he answered us. We asked him about your tweet and he said no comment. Your response, sir?
Where's Gabby? That's my response.
No, emotionally for you as a father, as a human being, talk about what this case is triggering for you.
This isn't about me. This is about Gabby, and that's where I want to keep the focus.
No, I know, but just looking at her face, talking with her family, how is this? Does that elicit any response from you to
Well,
try harder?
it's driving us to keep working. I mean, long hours, long days. It gives us the momentum to keep going forward.
Have any of the social media platforms reached out to your agency as part of the investigation and offered up any of the metadata?
We have great cooperation with the social media platforms out there.
How difficult is it as you guys are here? She possibly went missing over there. Geographically speaking, how difficult is that for the investigation?
We have partners federally and locally that we can reach out and touch. One of the reasons of asking the assistance of the FBI to come in is they have a long-reaching arm. So I'm confident with what we're doing here and the tips and the information that's being funneled out west. I'm confident that system is moving effectively.
Two more questions.
The Petito family said yesterday that what happened in Wyoming happened. It indicates that they know that something did occur in Wyoming and that there's information that we're not aware of or that's not being given to us, maybe being withheld from you. Do you know what happened in Wyoming? Do you know what they meant?
The fact of the matter is Gabby is missing. And I think that's what they're referring to.
Of course, but
Gabby's
this
missing.
is a huge investigation. You have internet press from all across the country here, and if there's something that's part of the story that's not being told, I think the public has a duty to understand that.
You're looking into something that's not there. I think what the family's position on it was she went missing. The last area was out in Wyoming. So she's not here. So where is she?
Now, Utah police aren't ruling out, it's really tough to talk about, but they're not ruling out any connection to possible homicides that happened there as well. Have you guys looked into that? Is there anything you can tell us in relation to that?
We have communication going back and forth with Grand County Sheriff's Office. We provided them with whatever information we could. They don't have any suspect information right now, so you would have to refer that to them. But they told us that they're looking at everything at this point.
Tim, one last question.
It's still a missing person case at this point in time, but is there any evidence suggesting that a crime may have been perpetrated?
Right now, no. Right now, all we have is the missing person investigation on that.
Really simple question. You said you knew where Brian is. Is he at his parents' house?
All I'm gonna say is I know where Brian's at. All right,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone. You can certainly follow up with us, me. You all seem to have my phone, so call and we'll answer any follow-up questions. Thank you.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah. Not a lot of info. However, I think it's clear that they are taking this very seriously.
Yeah. Interesting. That, unfortunately, that police officer that was speaking, he slipped a couple of times and he referred to Gabby in the past tense.
Mm-hmm.
He also said, "We are investigating a missing person." So it's clear to me that they know what they're really looking at as a murder here.
Yeah.
And they're not saying it, but it slipped out a couple of times. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Not that that's unsurprising. It's, it is not surprising, but
No.
you could just tell he was struggling with how to say things because there's what he believes to be true and then what he's going to put out in the public face, which is
Right.
Is sad. But I think it's the thing that we're all pretty clear on
Yeah.
at this point is that they're very likely not going to find her alive.
No, unfortunately. But And, it just reminds me a little of the Vallow case. The police knew for months that the kids were dead before they could prove it,
Right.
but they do have to be careful about what they say. But there you go. I wish that the reporters would have asked better questions.
Yeah, they were really pushing a certain agenda, clearly. They were
Yeah.
not asking anything about what they know, but I don't think he was giving anything up anyway.
No, he wasn't. But I mean, everyone thinks that Brian's guilty. Duh. We all know that. Okay. We
They
also
do
know that,
too,
and they do too, but Brian also has constitutional rights, just like anyone else does,
Right.
and they're following those things. But why not talk a little bit more about why are they so certain that she is in Grand Teton National Park or that
Right.
area? What is happening digitally, to help support that? I mean, there's
Mhm.
questions that could have been asked instead of, well, you as a father, how is this affecting you? Well, how the
I
hell do you think
know.
this is
Like,
affecting him?
come
This
on.
doesn't
That's
need
a
to be a
dumb question.
tearjerker case. So, yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, very dumb. Well,
Ask better questions.
isn't there a murderer active in the area? Well, in Moab, Utah, yes.
Right.
Not in Grand Teton National Park.
No.
It is very strange that they were there at the very same time that
Mhm.
they actually interacted with those women who were then murdered the next day. It is
Mhm.
really strange,
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot of weird stuff going on here, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But I think we should be careful with the whole Moab conversation. I'm there with you 100%, but I think we should be a little bit careful to not let that pull us off of the initial goal right here. And that's what he's saying is, look,
Yeah.
we have a missing person. Let's get her found,
Yeah.
and then let the wheels of justice start turning. And
Right.
I think that's true here too, because honestly, if he had anything to do with those murders in Moab, it's going to come out. He's going to
Right.
go down.
It is, because that's now come into the frame. It's
Yeah.
going to be a part of this investigation.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
However, go ahead.
Well, the women that were killed had messaged a friend and said, there's a weird guy hanging around our camp.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were murdered.
Yeah.
They had met him prior to that in the co-op and in the tavern.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that they would have referred to him in the same way, because
Unless it
that
was
implied, right, because
they just didn't
that kind of
know.
implies a stranger. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Not, hey, this guy that we met at a bar tonight is kind of freaking us out. It would be
Right.
different wording. So that's part that. I have a hang up about that.
Yeah, I hear that. Unless it's dark and he's cruising around in a hoodie and, maybe they can't see his face and don't know. But
Mhm.
I think there's some truth to that for sure.
Just from a psychic standpoint, I don't think he had anything to do with the Moab murders. It just does not. It doesn't resonate with me at all.
Mhm.
It's a weird coincidence they were there, but I just
Really
don't.
weird.
I feel like they're separate incidents. I still really feel like those women were targeted due to their sexuality.
Mhm.
And I know that's how it's been
Okay.
being looked at.
Yeah.
And that I still feel like that's accurate. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Now but Kira, I did want to point out that you are right that well, I don't know. There is a missing person already in the area. That's one
That is
interesting
right.
thing about this is that there is a man that went missing, a hiker out of Jackson that went into Grand Teton National Park to hike that is missing. They were
Mhm.
actually already searching for him when Gabby went missing, which
Gosh,
also adds
he's
an
good.
interesting layer to this because they were already searchers in the area looking for a missing person. They
Yeah.
have not come across her,
Or him.
or him.
But
Yeah.
the problem is most of those hikers that go missing, because this is a common thing this time of year,
Mhm.
very few of them are found alive. Most of them have met with a grizzly bear,
Yeah.
or they have had a fall, that kind of thing. And so, especially this long, that hiker's been missing now for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, it's very unlikely that person will be found alive.
Yeah.
It's just that's a reality of living around national parks. This kind of stuff happens all the time throughout all of summer. Well, and spring and fall. As
Yeah.
long as the weather's decent, there are people out there in the backcountry, and it's a sad thing, and especially Grand Teton National Park has had a bunch of grizzly bear attacks this year, like more than we've had in a long time.
Well, we've had so many more visitors.
So many more. The hot springs are in Yellowstone National Park, not Grand Teton. So unless they went into Yellowstone, and we don't know that, they weren't anywhere near.
Well, which they could have. I mean, she did have cell phone pings, check-ins that did indicate that perhaps they went into Yellowstone. But here's the thing. You can't just go into Yellowstone. You would have to have passed through a pay station.
Yeah.
And so if they did go into Yellowstone, the FBI will know that, because you do have to have passed into the, and they are adjacent, Kira. They are adjacent.
Oh, yeah. They definitely.
We took this very drive a couple of months ago.
We did.
We started in Jackson. We went up through to Grand Teton and right into Yellowstone, and then all the way back around the loop and
like to Old Faithful and stuff. But I mean, it's quite a drive to get to a place where you would be at hot pots or
a few hours,
hot pools or something. Yeah, it's not close. Like that area of Yellowstone is, I mean, you'd have to get like all the way in near Old Faithful, which is several hours away to actually get to some of those. So no, it's a great question though. And I know this is why we like to cover stuff like this, because we know these areas. We've been there a zillion times in our lives. And
so here is a map where she checked in to the Grand Teton National Forest, and you can see that just up the road is where National Park is. So or Yellowstone National Park.
And do you see that little city called Driggs right off to the left? That's where we were born.
Yeah.
So we, that's on the other side of the Grand Tetons. It's on the Idaho side, the correct side. There's a big Idaho-Wyoming thing. The counties are even named the same thing on either side. Teton County, Idaho, Teton County, Wyoming. It's funny.
Very confusing. Yeah. But see, you can see here's Rexburg, Idaho Falls. This is where we live.
Yeah, this is where we live.
We're not far from here, but anyway. And we have been keeping our ear to the ground about actual like searches going on. We really haven't heard very much.
They say that there are searches going on, but we haven't heard. There are teams that's literally people's job to search the parks for missing people all through the seasons. So and those teams were, the team out there was already out.
Right. So
search and rescue was already looking for that other guy. So.
And I did reach out to a contact that has helped us in the past on the running of dogs in these areas, cadaver dogs and rescue dogs. So I'm waiting to hear back from her as well, that we might get a little information that way.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're running any dogs out there.
Yeah,
because they could be.
But do know that it's already getting quite chilly at night. It's getting down into the 30s at night up there. It is freezing. The leaves are starting to change. It's pretty fally. It's getting cold.
Yeah,
it is. During the day, it's still beautiful, 60s and 70s, but it's getting pretty cold at night.
Fall is definitely coming. So it's not a time of year you would want to be out overnight by any means.
No, I mean, even in the next 30 days, we could start seeing snow up there. We're not far from,
up high, it comes really early.
At any rate, so that's what we know right now. Of course, we're going to keep an eye on this. We are going to stream the body cam footage separately so that you guys can go through and watch it if you would like. I am not aware of the other video. We'll definitely go look for it and make sure that we make sure that
a video of them on the side of the road. So we'll have to see what that is. The stuff is rolling in so fast on this case. We're trying to keep up. But yeah, we want to keep you informed about what we know and what we're hearing going on, that's going on around in our area.
Absolutely. And if more information or as more information comes, becomes available about where they're looking, we'll probably take a drive and, stream some footage from the actual park where they're looking.
Yeah. I mean, we totally could. We could go up there and.
Yeah. More info.
Yeah. Go take a look. It's just you'll see when you see the video how you don't just like wander off and camp. And this is not a place that you do that
No.
unless you want to be eaten by a grizzly bear, frankly.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a place that literally thousands of people go through there a week, streaming into Yellowstone National Park, because that's one of the entrances. That's that's the east entrance. Yeah, that's the east entrance.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, we will get the body cam video up today as well for you guys. And of
We
course, we'll
may
be back
edit it a
tonight.
little bit because it's so long. I
It's
wonder if we
over an
should,
hour long.
if we should
Yeah.
just take out the sections that actually have meaning, because I
Yes.
think there's probably stuff that doesn't, and shorten it up for you, because that's a lot of body cam to watch.
And a lot of it really is just, transport, police moving from point A to point B and stuff like that, that you don't really need to see all of that to get the gist of what happened there. Yeah. I will say this. I am amazed as the body cam footage is coming out, how many people are really vilifying Gabby, that was unhinged, that she was, obviously, a batterer or whatever.
Why?
I just think why?
Why was she so upset? What I do not see anybody asking, and the police certainly didn't ask.
Yeah.
Why was she so upset?
Why was she
What
so
had her
upset?
so scared and angry? Why was she so afraid of him driving off in that van that she literally climbed through the driver's side window and over top of him to get in?
Yeah.
That is fear right there.
That is a lot of fear.
Yeah.
How many times has he already done that to her on this trip?
Right. Has
How
she
many
been
times has
abandoned
he-
before?
Yeah. Been pissed off at her and left her somewhere and then come back and got her in a little while to teach her a lesson. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That created an inordinate amount of fear in her. Why?
Yeah, it did. And why?
And it's just
Her
too damn
behavior
ironic.
to me indicates a huge amount of fear
Mhm.
about and him being all calm and blaming it all on her is just, I don't know. I worked in domestic violence for a long time as a social worker, you guys. That is such a huge red flag to me.
And he
Huge
being
red flag.
so, happy jokey with the police, and oh well, she just has a problem.
I know police asked her why she was crying, but they did not push into what's really going on here,
Yeah.
and they seemed to just take his word.
Yeah.
I'm just OCD. Right, because she was afraid to answer in front of him. You guys, I'm sorry, but this reeks of domestic violence to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does, but this is so typical, honestly, of Utah police to just go straight to the male's word, take his word for it. It's just gross.
My job right out of college as a social worker, and Katie was a volunteer with the agency that I worked with. We used to respond on scene with the police to domestic violence incidents. We have physically been present for things like this. And I think that's why it sets me off, and it sets my intuition off. Like, oh, dude, I have seen this kind of stuff before.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. And just that whole idea of, you know what, we'll just put a little bow on this,
Yeah.
And yes, the cops let her drive away in her van, being that distraught, being that upset. We're just going to leave her alone overnight and put him in a hotel or whatever. That looked like a shelter, the way they described it. But I wish she had gone to the shelter, because maybe she would have had an opportunity to speak with someone there that could help her start carving through what she needs to
processing why she was so upset, because they did not get to that. Yeah. And they let her
No.
drive off being that distraught, that upset and scared. They gave her the car. I don't know. All of it's weird, but all of it just, I have seen situations like that in person.
She did admit to striking him, but he admitted to locking her out of the car and trying to drive away and leave her.
Yeah. I mean, what would you do?
He also admitted to pushing her face. And see, that's the thing that the person who called the police initially saw and reported, that they saw something going down. And then later, of course, that I wasn't sure what I was seeing, but it looked bad, At any rate, yes, the whole story just wasn't told. And that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
The whole story wasn't told. And it just, that's a reason to strike him, though. Well, that's what we're saying, Jay. We don't know. We don't
Yeah.
know everything that happened.
No.
Is
we
it a
don't.
reason to strike him? No, it's not. But was
But if
whatever
she
happened
was
there a
so
reason for
scared
him
that he was going to
to?
leave her there,
Yeah,
why?
yeah.
Why?
Why?
What had happened before? And yeah, he pushed
tried-
her. That's why they called somebody
Right.
called the
He
police.
tried to
So
disengage. Then why didn't he hand her the keys and walk away?
yeah, he
Right?
got in the car and tried to drive away and told her to walk away. Yeah, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
none of that seems safe to me. None of it.
No, no. But then that's what we're saying. There's obviously more to this story that we don't know. There's clearly more that happened and that has happened beyond what was on the surface of the body cam footage
Right.
in the police report that created this level of distress in her. And that's what we're saying. He wasn't even upset. He wasn't even
Right.
upset. And she could not stop crying.
Yeah. Weird. You're right. They should have they made Brian show his back and his abdomen to see if he had any bruises. Well, they didn't have her do the same thing.
No, they didn't. They didn't. But that's my biggest concern is really not biggest maybe, but is that how many other times has he gotten in that van and left her somewhere and
Right.
scared the shit out of her? Is
Right.
this become a pattern of control,
Her
But-
response indicates that had happened before. As
Right.
desperate as she was to get back in that van and not let him
Yeah.
drive away. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is not a good
Yeah.
situation.
Nope, it's not a good situation. It's scary. And no one's saying that she should get to batter him, but there were some red flags in the conversation. The fact that the officer said that he didn't seem like he had battered boyfriend syndrome. But there was no conversation about her except for, oh, she's just mentally ill. Done and done.
Yeah, based on his statement alone, her
Well, she said that
family,
she had anxiety and OCD, but her family doesn't back
But
that
her-
up at all.
no, they don't. And they said they have not reported that she was on any medication.
No,
Being upset and having anxiety in the moment is not a mental illness.
no.
We all have anxiety when we're scared.
Yep.
It's just, all of it is sketchy because it's just the typical, oh, she's just crazy domestic violence defense.
Yep. Yep.
You know
It's
what? They
just scary.
don't. Lydia, so that was one of the questions that was asked in the press conference was, does he have any past criminal history or does she have any past criminal history? And the answer was no, neither one of them did.
Neither of them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he acts too innocent but acted too nervous as well. It was super suspicious. It was
Well,
super suspicious.
That's the typical good old boy kind of male to male interaction that you'll see in cases like this,
Yes.
where there's a lot more going on under the surface, but I'm going to act like I'm relaxed and happy and your friend, and we're just going to be man to man on this, and
Yep.
we're not trying to be sexist and misogynist, or we're not trying to be sexist about it. It's just that these are the things that we have seen with our
Yes.
own eyes and our own experience so many times with domestic violence.
Well, yeah, just let me tell you what's really going on here.
Right.
She's
And
just
yes,
crazy.
he was jokey with the police officers at the same time that she cannot stop crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was no air of being upset amongst Brian at all. It was just patting this silly little upset woman on the head.
Yeah. It was gross. They definitely did not get to the bottom of what was going on.
No.
Aaron says the threat of being abandoned on the other side of the country would leave anyone drowning in terror. Gabby was acting reasonable given the situation. See, I agree.
Yeah.
Do you think she should have been arrested regardless of what happened before? No, I don't. They would have arrested her if they felt like they had cause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they didn't. I mean, they had the opportunity right there.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. They had the opportunity, and he did have, a slight injury. They could have, I think that honestly they knew though that it would be pointless,
Mm-hmm.
because there wasn't enough.
They opted not to,
Mhm.
and they just tried to separate them for the night to see if they could just settle down.
Mm-hmm. Which isn't very common response to domestic violence stuff.
It is. When there's not severe injury, that's generally what happens.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to, you go somewhere for the night, you go somewhere for the night, everybody settle down.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like the first time there's ever been a domestic call between a couple.
Yeah.
And this one's weird because they're traveling, they're in Utah and they're from Florida.
Based
No.
on his injuries, no.
Absolutely not. He had very minor scratches.
Yeah.
Very minor.
Yeah.
The police, didn't they call them very small,
Mm-hmm.
like superficial scratches? He didn't have enough of an injury for them to arrest, really.
No.
You're right. Gabby wasn't upset for no reason, and we never got to the bottom of what that reason was.
Right. Definitely no. No, but I'll tell you, years ago, I had a daycare mom. I had a home daycare for a long time in my earlier career, and I had a daycare mom whose husband was a police officer, and he broke her nose, and the police separated them for the night.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not uncommon to just go, everyone's upset here. Let's just cool things down. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that does constitute battery, but the person that called 911 watched him push her face, which is also battery. And so they could have arrested them both, but they didn't. They didn't see this as them being in physical danger from one another.
No.
Just didn't come across that way.
No. Though it poses an interesting question, Jay, that had they arrested her for battery and interrupted this trip, and it would have forced her to have to get real about what was happening, and it would have forced her to have to get her family involved because she didn't really have any money or anything, maybe we would have seen a different outcome here.
Right. Maybe she wouldn't be missing now.
Yeah.
I don't know. The way the police handled it is pretty typical for Utah and Idaho.
Oh, yeah.
We're pretty similar in the way that police act. Yeah, he did know how to draw attention to himself. The police, which again just concerns me a great deal.
Yeah.
That there was little concern about why she was so upset. What is going on here that created this situation to begin with? And they didn't get a clear answer because I'm just OCD. That's something that people say and self-diagnose with. Doesn't mean she has OCD.
Right.
Yeah. Cops see a lover's quarrel so often that they're desensitized to it. It's true.
Oh, definitely.
It's absolutely true.
Definitely. Well, and you just have this young couple that had this little tiff, or at least that's how you're seeing it, and they are leaving town. They don't even live here. They're trying to head into Arches. Really? They're probably not going to dig much deeper unless there was more of a physical injury there, and there just wasn't.
I'm going to see this as a not my problem kind of situation.
Yeah.
It would be different if this happened at their home.
Yeah.
And not while they were traveling, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, without a doubt. So, and we're not trying to drag the police officers either. This is just this is what we see,
Well, and they in their defense have no history with these people. They don't know anything.
Right.
And, given what little training most police officers get in domestic violence, this is generally the way they handle things. If there's no serious injury, they just separate people.
Yep.
And I don't know how they do it in other places, but Idaho and Utah are pretty similar in the way that these things are handled, and that's how it's that's how it goes in this part of the woods, unfortunately.
Yeah, without a doubt. But there's always a lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda in cases like this. It just more than anything, I think people are more interested in the police report in this instance because it looks like maybe there was more of a history of domestic violence than we know. And we're not saying that she didn't, maybe also contribute to that. It looks to me like maybe they both did, Right. But one person is at home now, sitting on the couch under the protection of his parents and his attorney, and the other person is missing. So, I mean, there's no, you don't need very many clues or context clues to see why most people are wondering what the hell he was up to,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was just looking at an update on the Moab murders to see kind of where law enforcement is at. So they were found on August 18th.
Mm-hmm. But the last they showed up to work or were heard from by anybody was the 14th.
Right. So somewhere in between there.
Mm-hmm.
Investigators were informed that Kylan had mentioned to her friends that if something happened to them, that they were murdered. So there was a creepy man around their camp that intimidated them. Both bodies were undressed from the waist down.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, they were last seen at that tavern, Woody's Tavern in Moab on August 13th, which is when Brian and Gabby were there.
Yeah.
So they've searched 2 vehicles, a Kia Sorento and an 87 Ford Econoline that was in the parking lot there in the campsite.
Yeah.
Let's see. Just going to see what else. They really don't have, there are a couple of different rewards for information offered. They do not have a suspect.
No.
So that's what we know so far.
Oh, JR's asking what were their names? That couple.
Oh, their names were, let's see.
Kylan, I believe one of their names was Kylan.
Kylan Schultz and Crystal Turner.
That's right, Kylan and Crystal.
Yeah, and they had just gotten married.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even if, even this, connection, weird connection to this case notwithstanding, that's probably a case that we ought to open up as well,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably would be time to start looking at it as well, particularly because there's this weird connection. Yeah. So we'll do an episode on it and tell you the whole story. And
yeah, that's separate from this whole situation. It is weird stuff. It is weird that they were around the area at the same time, especially in 5,000 people Moab. Moab's pretty sleepy. They don't have a lot of crime. They're a little tiny tourist town, and it is weird that their town is now connected to these 2 different sets of murders or missing persons. It is weird.
Mm-hmm. It is, except that the amount of tourists. I mean, they're right at the opening of Arches National Park. Mm-hmm. So the hard part is
pass through there.
Just like here where we live, there are so many people that come through our communities going through the national parks that, I mean, it definitely ups the odds.
Oh, yeah.
Around here, people get killed all the time, all summer in, outdoor accidents, drownings, car accidents that are not from here. And it's because people flock to Utah and Idaho for the national parks. Uh-huh. And so we have tons of people that die in our area that aren't from here in the summertime.
Well, and not to mention our sand dunes.
Yes, and our sand dunes.
We have we have a geographical anomaly here where we have it's a cool place. There's sand dunes that just kind of crop up out of nowhere amongst a lot of farmland and lava rock.
Yeah, and mountains.
Was an ocean, millions of years ago. Yeah. And people come here to four-wheel, to ride their four-wheelers, snowmobiles too in the winter, but four-wheelers and side-by-sides and dune buggies and motorcycles. And there are multiple deaths out there every summer because people, they do a bunch of drinking and driving out there.
It's super dangerous.
It's dangerous. My kids are always like, why don't we ever go to the sand dunes? Because I like you.
Yeah. The only time we ever really have gone there is in the winter. It's
how to go sledding.
Snowmobiling and sledding. But in the summer, it's so inundated. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it's not that surprising really that they would run across each other in Moab, because people in Moab probably run across people from all over the world because they're coming into the national parks in Utah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But it is a weird thing that they were all at the same tavern the night before these women go. These women are killed. So
So we'll keep our finger on it.
yes, we will.
All righty. Well,
right.
tonight is the psychic hour at 8 p.m. and we are talking about ancestor altars, what they are, why you want one, how to do it. So that's what's coming. But do watch this afternoon for the webcam footage too. We will get something up about that as well.
We definitely will.
All righty. Well, guys, thanks for joining us for a quick pop-up here. We'll keep you abreast of anything that we see coming forward on this case and all the other ones we're keeping an eye on. So
Definitely.
this has been yet another production of True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters.
Thanks, guys.